Now, normally on this channel, we write product reviews with sort of the expectation that we're telling you guys about our experience with the device to help you make a decision about whether or not you should buy it or something similar. This episode is going to be slightly different since the phone we're talking about today, the Xiaomi Mi 5, is currently only available in China, although NCIX is probably going to sell it, and when we put it up, the link is in the corner here. But for most of you watching this video, safe to say this phone will probably be hard for you to get your hands on. Despite this, I'm doing this video because the Mi 5 occupies an interesting space. It's got pretty high specs and performance for a budget flagship phone, an accompanying ecosystem of Xiaomi products, and it's a good brand to be familiar with since Xiaomi is intending to enter the Western market with their phones soon. And trust me, you'll want to prepare yourself. So, without further ado, shall we? Now, upon first glance, the Xiaomi Mi 5 looks like it's got a nice premium build, and that's because it does. The standout feature is the curved glass back, which makes it sit very nicely in your hand. Brushed aluminum runs along the outer edge, framing a vibrant display with nearly non-existent side bezels. This does not look like a budget phone. The internal specs would agree on that point. There's a 5.1-inch 1080p LCD screen, Qualcomm Snapdragon 820, Adreno 530 GPU, 3 gigs of RAM, 32, 64, and 128 gig storage options, although ours is 64 gigs, a 16 megapixel rear camera with phase detection autofocus and optical image stabilization, a 4 megapixel front camera, USB Type-C, Fingerprint Reader, an IR blaster, a 3000 milliamp hour battery, AC Wi-Fi, Bluetooth 4.0, NFC, Quick Charge 3.0, and Android 6.0 Marshmallow, although you'd be hard-pressed to identify it under Xiaomi's iOS-ified custom skin, but more on that later. The other important spec is this, the wireless bands. Some of the bands needed for LTE in the US and Canada are not supported on this device, so if you're considering the Mi 5, make sure you check compatibility with your carrier first. Alright, let's finish the exterior tour. On the front, as we said, we've got the 5.1-inch 1080p display, one of my favorite features on this phone. Colors look great, and while it doesn't get quite as bright as my Galaxy S6, those side bezels do. It gives sort of an infinity edge type feel like Dell's XPS 13 and 15. Above that, we've got the light sensor, speaker, and 4 megapixel selfie camera. Below it, we have the very responsive fingerprint reader integrated into a physical push button, flanked by touch buttons that only appear as single LED dots. Now, the reason for this is so that you can switch the recents and back key in the settings if you want, but it would have been nice to see some sort of icon there because when you're first starting to use the phone, it's just nice to have. On the back, we have the Xiaomi logo, the 16 megapixel rear camera, and LED flash. Moving to the right side, we've got the power button below the volume rocker, which could have used a little notch to differentiate between up and down, but oh well. On the left side, we've got the dual nano SIM card tray on the top, the IR blaster, secondary mic, and 3.5mm audio jack. And on the bottom, 2 speakers and the USB Type-C port. Alright, now that we've established that this is a very pretty phone with some great specs, we can talk about what Xiaomi has done to the Android UI. Basically, it appears as if they've tried to make Android look as much like iOS as possible. Now, this is nothing new. They've done this on their previous phones. There is no app drawer, so all of your apps will be on the home screen. You can rearrange them in folders just like normal, and it actually supports widgets as well. All the menus in the settings look like they were straight up just taken out of iOS, which would be fine if Xiaomi's MIUI 7 didn't also disable a few of the cool features in Android Marshmallow. These include multi-user support, settings, search, Google Now on tap, is not here, the app permissions system, which lets you enable and disable certain app permissions individually, and apparently app previews in the multitasking menu. And I also couldn't get the screen to stay on indefinitely. I couldn't find that option in the settings. Now, besides disabling features, the Mi 5 didn't even come with the Google Play Store installed. Now, this is because Xiaomi has their own app store, as well as their own cloud sync service and a number of other apps, and I honestly don't even know which is what because they're in Chinese. Suffice to say, this phone comes with quite a bit of bloatware, which I guess could be either classified or not classified as bloatware, depending on whether you use Xiaomi's ecosystem already. And also, this is only sold in China, where Google services aren't exactly welcomed with open arms, so hopefully that changes if they ever bring a phone to North America. Alright, Keys, but whether you like the interface or not is subjective. Give me the numbers, man! Well, while I wanted to run Geekbench and 3D Mark on the Mi 5, I only managed to get the Antutu benchmark installed Because, remember when I said the Play Store didn't come pre-installed a few sentences ago? Well, I found an application in the Xiaomi store that appears to install Google's services, but once I got it running, the Play Store didn't let me actually download anything. I kept getting these errors that wouldn't let me download. Anyways, in Antutu, I got a score of 128,544, so performance is right up there with the big boys, including apparently a different Xiaomi Mi 5. I guess that is the Pro version up at the top that they're planning on releasing later. I did find that the phone tended to get a little warm, sometimes when I didn't think I was really doing anything really intensive. Is it the ghastly specter of the Snapdragon 810 coming back to haunt us? Probably not, because that's stupid. The camera on the Mi 5 has some pretty good specs, and for the most part performs very admirably. Colors aren't too washed out with a reasonable level of exposure on average. Low light is where we see the limits of the camera's very compact design, there's no camera bump, as it couldn't quite keep up with both my S6 and Jack's Xperia Z5. Overall, a very impressive camera given the phone's price. Well, I mean, what else is there to talk about? Battery life was average. It lasted me about a day with pretty regular use, although standby time was amazing. I left it for a couple days after fully charging it and found it was still at 80% charge. Now, the other thing that would make the Mi 5 somewhat enticing is their ecosystem. There's a reason Xiaomi has been called the Apple of China, but where Apple sells a few core products in a few categories, Xiaomi is branching out in a big way. They've got phones, of course, but also action cameras, fitness bands, Bluetooth speakers, and earphones, power banks, an RGB bedside lamp, and even a water quality tester. All of which are optimized to work best when connected to Xiaomi phones. Now, all of those things are already available in North America and at NCIX. You can also click the link in the description to check out some of Xiaomi's other products. It would seem that Xiaomi is trying to build their brand a little bit in the West before they come into the market in force with their phones. So with all of that said, what's the story here? Well, we've got a very reasonably priced, pretty high-spec'd out phone with excellent build quality, which is held back somewhat, or I mean, you could say it's held back a lot by its awkward customized software. I mean, obviously it's appealing to some people in China. Xiaomi sold 70 million phones there in 2015, and I suppose you could pick one of these up and just flash it with stock Android, but I don't know if that's worth the work. I only hope that when Xiaomi does enter the North American market in a big way, they ease off a bit on the iOS-ness and at least pre-install the Play Store. That was very frustrating. As I said before, if you are interested in purchasing the Xiaomi Mi 5, you can click the little button up there or the link in the description. Well, that's it for this video, guys. Thanks for watching. Click here to watch more videos, follow the team on social media over here, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this from NCIX. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go try the HTC Vive for the first time. I've tried the Oculus DK2, but haven't tried the Vive with the whole room scale VR with the controllers. We're gonna film a video on that, so watch out for that coming up on the channel soon. Or it might already be out. Who knows? Life is uncertain. Well, see ya!